thanks for tuning into Animal Adventures. My name is Kylynn, and if you remember from a couple of weeks ago, I filmed a session on backyard birds, and in that video, I filmed a little female dark-eyed junco hopping around my yard, and this week, she and her mate have made a nest, and that nest is just around my shoulder here in these thick green bushes behind me. I'm trying to stay a safe distance away and give them plenty of space so they don't get scared. I don't want them to abandon the nest. I want to disturb them as little as possible, but this session, I want to talk to you about what you should do if you find a baby bird on the ground. And I promise within your lifetime, you will find a baby bird on the ground, and it's important to know what to do and what you shouldn't do. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So the first thing you should do if you see a baby bird on the ground is watch it for a couple of minutes. Make sure there's no dogs or cats outside that could potentially catch it and harm it and bite it. But I just want you to sit back and watch it for a little while. Get a parent, watch it together. Now, if this baby bird has feathers, maybe a little bit of fuzz left, but is mostly feathered and has a short little tail, that's what we call a fledgling, and that baby bird does not need your help. While you're watching it, you'll notice that the parents are likely still coming back and feeding it. So every baby bird goes through a phase called fledgling, where they are learning survival skills. They're likely hopping around on the ground and in the bushes, and they can't fly yet, but they're learning how to survive while their parents still care for them, and they soon will start to fly. This is an example of a fledgling that we have at our center right now, our wildlife care center, and it's gotten old enough, so it's now in its fledgling stage. It's a house finch, and this guy will soon be released back to the wild when it's big enough to fly and it's acclimated to the outdoors. Right now, it's still in its incubator being fed by our staff. Now, if you find a baby bird on the ground that is pink and has some fuzz or a little bit of feathers on it, or it's just growing its feathers, but it still has some pink spots, that is clearly a baby that does need your help. So the first thing you should do is look for the nest. If this is a baby that's fallen out of a nest or been blown out of a nest, the best thing to do is return it to the nest. Its best chance at survival is if the parents continue to feed and care for it and raise it. So if you can find the nest, go ahead and put the baby bird back into the nest. But if you can't find the nest, or the nest has been pruned out of a tree, for example, if people are cutting their trees and bushes and have accidentally cut a nest down, then that is a baby that does need your help and needs you to bring it into our care center. Really, really important to not give food or water to that baby bird. A lot of people try and give food or water to the babies, and they accidentally do more harm than good. So even though you're trying to help, don't help by giving it food and water. You're going to do three things instead. You're going to keep it warm, dark, and quiet. So a good way to transport it to us is in a shoebox with holes poked in it. Put a towel inside the shoebox, and then keep that baby in the box in a warm location. So try not to let it get too cold while you transport it to us. You can also call us, and I'll provide phone numbers that you can call if you have questions, like you aren't sure if the baby is old enough to be brought into us or not. Always just call us to help you make that decision. This is a type of baby that you would bring into us, and someone has brought this one into our shelter, and we are caring for it and raising it until it fledges, and then it's old enough and starts to fly, and then it will also be released back to the wild like the other birds. So most of you probably know that we have a big, beautiful wildlife care center at our Lanto Center for Compassion, and this is where we treat and rehabilitate thousands of wild animals every single year. Many of these are birds, and most of the wildlife that come to us during the spring and summer months, and that's because, you guessed it, wild animals are having their babies in the spring and summer. So lots of these wild animals that come into us are little babies that need some assistance. Perhaps they've been orphaned by their parents, or they've been abandoned, and they need our help raising them until they're old enough to look after themselves and be released back into the wild. Thank you for tuning into this week's animal adventure. I hope you are better prepared to take the next appropriate steps if you do find a wild animal that you think may need your help. When in doubt, give us a call and we're happy to talk you through the next steps of what you should do or what you shouldn't do. I'll see you next week with a brand new episode.